34 people killed with the exception.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Eric Rainey. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Sheriff's Office. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office and Unified Command, I'd like to say thanks for being here. We have Sheriff Bill Brown, who's going to update you on the incident, and I just wanted to also thank our partners, Assistant Chief Ryan Smith from the California Office of Emergency Services, Chief Mark Knott from the National Park Service, and Chief Mark Hartwig from our County Fire Department. Please welcome Sheriff Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Rainey. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here and for attending this press briefing. We thought it was important to share with you the relief that we as the unified commanders felt that yesterday we were able to locate and recover the final missing victim in the Conception dive boat tragedy. No one has been left behind. Yesterday afternoon, a team of divers from the San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office, supported by the State Department of Fish and Wildlife, were tasked with searching a cove adjacent to and just west of Platts Harbor. While doing so, they located the last remaining victim. I'm pleased to report that our Coroner's Bureau, with the assistance of our Detective Bureau, has now successfully identified all 34 of the victims and has notified their loved ones of that. 33 of those victims have been positively identified through DNA comparisons, and the remaining victim has been identified through fingerprints. DNA identification of that victim is pending the arrival of a familial DNA sample from overseas. The success of the identification process was due in large part to the assistance of the Sacramento County Coroner, Kimberly Jin, and her staff, and the rapid DNA technology of the ANDE, A-N-D-E Corporation, as well as through the fingerprint analysis. I'd also like to thank the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office and their staff for the tireless assistance that they provided to our coroner's staff in the initial days of this incident. Now that all of the victims of this tragedy have been identified, we are releasing all of their names, and I am going to read to you the names, ages, and hometowns of the victims. And I do so with a heavy heart and share these with you and with our viewing public. Carol Diana Adamic, age 60, of Santa Cruz, California. Juha Pika Ahopelto, 50, of Sunnyvale, California. Neil Gustav Baltz, 42, of Phoenix, Arizona. Patricia Ann Beitzinger, 48, of Chandler, Arizona. Vaidi He Campbell, 41, of Felton, California. Raymond Scott Chan, 59, of Los Altos, California. Kendra Chan, 26, of Oxnard, California. Adrian Dahoud Fritz, 40, of Sacramento, California. Justin Carol Dignam, 58, of Anaheim, California. Berenice Felipe, 16, of Santa Cruz, California. Lisa Fiedler, 52, of Mill Valley, California. Christina Christy Finstad, 41, of Santa Cruz, California. Andrew Fritz, 40, of Sacramento, California. Daniel Garcia, 46, of Berkeley, California. Mary Beth Guiney, 51, of Santa Monica, California. Yuko Hatano, 39, of San Jose, California. Yulia Krashenaya, 40, of Berkeley, California. Alexandra Kurtz, 26, of Santa Barbara, California. Zhang Lin, 45, of Fremont, California. Caroline McLaughlin, 35, Oakland, California. Charles McIlvain, 44, Santa Monica, California. Kaustuba Nirmal, 33, Stamford, Connecticut. Sanjiri Dupujari Nirmal, 31, Stamford, Connecticut. Angela Rose Quidasol, 28, of Stockton. Evan Michael Quidasol, 37, of Stockton. Nicole Storm Quidasol, 31, of Imperial Beach, California. Michael Quidasol, 62, of Stockton, California. Stephen Salika, 55, of Santa Cruz, California. Tia Salika Adamic, 17, of Santa Cruz, California. Sumil Sandhu, 45, of Half Moon Bay, California. Fernisa Sisson, 57, of Stockton, California. Ted Strom, 62, of Germantown, Tennessee. Christian Takvam, 34, of San Francisco, California. And Wei Tan, 26, of Goleta, California. May they all rest in peace, and may their families know that all of us who have been involved in this sad operation continue to hold them in our hearts and in our prayers. As for the vessel Conception, the Coast Guard has been overseeing the salvage operation since it resumed yesterday. I'm pleased to report that the salvage operations have so far been successful, that the Conception has been raised to the surface, and it is being prepared to lift it onto a barge. It will then be transported to an undisclosed, secure location for further investigation. With the completion, or upon the completion, of the salvage operation, local and state involvement in this incident will wind down. The investigation into the cause of this disaster will continue for some time to come, and it will be led by several of our federal partners. The Sheriff's Office will continue to support those investigative efforts to the degree necessary to determine the cause of this tragedy. I would like to end today by expressing my sincere and profound gratitude to all of our partners in Unified Command, the United States Coast Guard, the Santa Barbara County Fire Department, and the National Park Service, and to the representatives of the other federal, state, and local agencies that have supported us throughout this endeavor. I particularly want to focus on the coordination and the cooperation of the dive teams that worked so diligently after responding to our call for assistance. Their efforts were truly remarkable. I want to especially thank the dive team members from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, from the Los Angeles Port Police, from the San Luis Sheriff's Office, from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, from the National Park Service, and from the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. Theirs was a physically and emotionally challenging task, and it is through their efforts that all of the victims have been recovered and have, or will be soon, returned to their loved ones. I also want to close by thanking you, the men and women of the press, for your excellent reporting of this terrible tragedy. And that concludes my remarks, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you.
Sure. Patrick Haley from KMBC Los Angeles. The final victim that was found yesterday, it sounds like the circumstances were different, that that person was in a cove and that there was a possibility of identification through fingerprints. Can you talk about it? Did that person get off the vessel before the fire?
So the question was, it sounds as though the final victim that was recovered yesterday, it sounded to the person asking the question as though it was different from the others that were recovered, and does it look like that victim was in any other circumstances? The answer to that question is no. She was recovered in an area that is very close proximity to where other victims were recovered. It is in a close proximity, within 0.3 of a mile, no more, than where the boat sank. And the examination of her remains are consistent with the examination of the other remains. The preliminary indicators are, and the belief of our pathologist is, that she also died of smoke inhalation prior to being burned, and that she most likely was just as everyone else, got into the water when the boat flipped upside down.
Can you talk at all about criminal charges at this point?
I'm sorry, about what?
Criminal charges at this point?
The question was, can I talk about any criminal charges at this point? And no, I cannot. The investigation is ongoing, and we have no indication that there are any criminal charges imminent, or I can't give you any information about that.
Now that the boats were taken out, who's leading the examination of them?
So now that we're shutting down at the incident command level, who's taking over? Well, there have been, since the beginning of this, there has been a parallel set of investigations that have, well, actually more than several investigations that have been being conducted in a parallel basis by the NTSB, by the Coast Guard Investigative Service, and then also here locally by sheriff's investigators. Those investigations are continuing. We are in support of our federal partners, who have a host of other federal agencies that are involved as well. And those investigations will continue for quite some time. Tom?
Bill, just to confirm, the Santa Barbara County Fire Department is not involved in the fire investigation at this point?
We have our chief fire investigator, Jason Snodgrass, embedded with the NTSB and ATF team, along with the sheriff's team.
Okay, but it's their investigation at this point?
We're embedded in as a team member in their investigation. As the sheriff said, it's primarily, again, a federal investigation at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's custody of the boat now? Is it the Coast Guard or NTSB, or
I missed the
which agency has custody of the boat now that's gonna, or when it's going to be towed to its location?
The question is, which entity has custody of the boat and will continue through the investigation? The Coast Guard will have custody of the boat as the salvage operation is continuing, and then at the point when it is placed into a location where it can be examined, it will fall under the custody of the NTSB.
Still another question. Based on what you said earlier, autopsies were not conducted on any of the remains?
Question was, were autopsies conducted on any of the remains? Traditional autopsies, complete autopsies, were not conducted. However, autopsies were conducted. Examinations of all the victims were conducted, and some partial examination that involved medical procedures was conducted. But a traditional full autopsy was not done in this case, and generally our policy is not to do them in a mass casualty situation where the cause of death is believed to be known and common with all the victims, and that those characteristics are common with all the victims.
And those examinations seem to confirm the smoke inhalation cause of death?
They did. And with this latest victim as well, there was an examination that showed that there was evidence that supported the belief that the cause of death was through smoke inhalation.
We can take just one more question if anybody's got one.
I'll go for a twofer if I may. Sheriff, can you talk about any particular challenges or difficulties that arose during the salvage operation today?
The question was any particular difficulties or challenges that arose with the salvage operation today. I can't give you any information about that myself. I can just, in sort of general terms, tell you that this was a very challenging case all around. The location, the relatively remote location, 22 miles or so away from the coastline of Santa Barbara, 26 or so away from Ventura Harbor, or the Channel Islands Harbor in Ventura County, was such that it was a lengthy response initially during the rescue operation, and then the recovery operation. It continues also to be challenging logistically, getting people back and forth across the channel, maintaining security of the area and the surrounds, recovering the vessel and the various debris and any evidence that might be in the water as well. So it has been all around really a challenging operation. Also the fact that there were so many casualties and so many innocent people that lost their lives in this, it has been emotionally charged as well as physically difficult for the people that have been involved. But I'll just end on this note, and that is I couldn't be prouder of the response that was made by our local, our state, and our federal partners to this operation. And in particular, I just want to give, again, strong kudos to the state of California's mutual aid system, which is extraordinary. It really is the best in the world. And it is once again apparent that although we've had a localized disaster in Santa Barbara, we have been fortunate enough to be able to live in a state where we can reach out and receive immediate response in a big way in all facets of this terrible tragedy. And the management of it was in large part due to the fact that we were able to very rapidly get the resources that we needed to conduct the recovery and the investigative operations and the salvage operations now that are underway. So I can't speak highly enough about everybody that's been involved. Those mutual aid resources were coordinated by our state office, the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and we're grateful to them, as we have been in the past, for bringing together this team of teams that was put together in the wake of this tragedy, and that has really performed magnificently. So thank you all again for your coverage, and it's unlikely that there'll be any more press conferences. There won't be any more from the incident. The NTSB investigation they released a preliminary report today, as I think you're aware, but the remaining investigation is going to be a lengthy one. It will take some time before that happens.
What time do you expect, if you said this already, forgive me, what time do you expect the salvage to be brought?
We don't know. We just don't have that information.
I'll stick around for any clarifying questions anybody may have.